Hi, my name's Rob Scott from UC Today News. Hope you're doing well. Today, I'm joined by Aurangzeb Khan, who's the SVP for Intelligent Vision Systems and Collaboration at Jabra. And he's going to be sharing his perspective on the video collaboration challenges in today's hybrid workplace and how Jabra is providing solutions to meet these ever-changing demands with its innovative Panacas range of products. So stay tuned for a really great session. Welcome, Aurangzeb. Good to see you.
Hi, Rob. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to see you again. Thanks for joining me. Just before we dive in, how about we just do a quick intro? Tell us a little bit about the collaboration division at Jabra, please.
Sure. You know, Rob, I came in about 3 years ago through the merger of my company that I founded called Altea Systems, where we pioneered multi-camera array video cameras to create an immersive 180-degree field of view with a lot of intelligence built in. And here I'm fortunate to also manage the Speak line of products, which are iconic speakerphone products that Jabra pioneered many years ago. And now we're combining these, audio, video, and AI, to create a whole new generation of products manifest in Panacas 50 and 20. And hopefully we'll talk more about that today.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. And, let's kick off. I mean, in terms of, things out there, it's changed, so dramatically over the past couple of years. But, the workplace and work styles really changed recently. What collaboration challenges exist for organizations today in the workplace?
There couldn't have been a bigger change, right? Unfortunately, COVID took the whole world by storm and completely impacted everything we do. And one of the biggest impacts was how we work. So for the longest time, many of us were used to going to an office. We switched literally overnight to working from home. And now we're returning to the office and, we're vaccinated. There's still some ups and downs, but we essentially have now three modes. There's home, there's the office, and sometimes a place in between. Now, this has also allowed us a lot of opportunities to offset work. So we have temporal offsets. You can work when you want to because work is what you do, not a place you go to. But you need great collaboration products to allow you to work with your peers and colleagues at these three places and at different times of the day or the evening as you choose. Now, one big change is the requirement for separation between people. The distancing requirements that came in through COVID have really become kind of ingrained habits. And so a new requirement for us when we collaborate as a group physically in the one space is that we want to sit a bit further away from each other. So how do you include everybody when they're physically further away from each other is one of the new requirements.
Fantastic. And I'm picking up a lot around inclusivity at the moment, as you mentioned. So can you talk to me a little bit about, that and what that actually means in kind of meetings and collaboration?
Absolutely. So, as you said, as humans, we're used to seeing each other and we communicate that much more effectively. There are many studies that talk about the idea that audio comes first, but audio alone isn't everything. You need video and that sense of human connection. Now, we're having a great conversation. I'm at home with the device in front of me. You've got one there. Now, imagine that you and I were in the same room and we were physically separated by 6 feet and there's three of us, right? When we go on video, all of us want to be included in that video stream that's going out of that physical space, that collaboration space. This creates new challenges because traditional cameras have a limited field of view. They've tried to open it up to even 120 degrees, but then you often get a lot of distortion, so people don't look right. They look sort of trapezoidal at the edges, skinny in the middle. We feel that it's really important to include everybody in the conversation. Inclusivity means that you're a full and equal participant in that conversation. And there's, more layers as we'll talk about, but that's the first layer. You need to include everybody in a good way where they are properly presented, not completely distorted and so on.
Fantastic. So is that the same as meeting equity? Because that's another thing I'm picking up a lot of recently. It's kind of this kind of theory of meeting equity or the fact that, meetings do need to be balanced.
Exactly. I'd say it's a little different. They're related, right? So inclusivity comes first, right? You got to show up. I need to be visible to you and you're visible to me. Now, equity is a little different. And, maybe the way to say it is right now, you and I occupy a certain amount of pixel real estate on this screen in front of me, right? So I've got a setup. I've got a Panacas 20 screen behind it. I can see you. You can see me and I can see you presented, roughly or actually right now equally in the same footprint as me. If more people joined, we would get into that tiled kind of a gallery view. The notion of equitability is that whether I have a camera dedicated only to me, or if I'm in a meeting space and there's 3 or 4 of us together, we want to be presented with a certain amount of good pixel real estate, right? So that we are not, when we're in a group, we're not at a disadvantage to look very small compared to all the folks who have a focused, dedicated device presented in front of them. And that gets into the notion of equitability.
So why should that matter, or why does that matter to organizations?
It's this human instinct for, who do you pay attention to and how do you connect with people, right? You want to be able to see the participants clearly. As I'm reading your engagement and I can see that we're tracking each other, it's just instinctive for me to communicate and for you to communicate with me. When we don't have that presentation, when people are left out, they are certainly not equal citizens, right? They become sort of second class to the group. And then if they're very tiny compared to the other people, it's hard to read the body language, hard to understand how they're connecting. When we are in a group, there are two things that are important, right? One is the sense of how is that group interacting, right? Who's sitting where? How are they connecting with each other? Is there a distraction? And then the second is when they're talking or engaging with the larger virtual group, are they present with equal presence to the folks who have a dedicated device? That's the notion of equitability.
Got it. And so how can technology help solve the kind of equity challenge?
We pioneered, as you know, with the Panacas range, the idea that instead of trying to use one camera and create a very distorting, fisheye type lens or something ultra wide angle, let's build an array of cameras. Now that created a whole host of challenges which we've pioneered in developing solutions for, including a streaming architecture for low latency and so on. Now, with the latest generation like Panacas 50, for example, we have a lot of AI built in. So we have 8 microphones, 3 cameras, beamforming technology, people detection technology, anonymous people detection. So we can know whether people are present. We can also know who's talking. So one of the things we pioneered is actually working with movie makers, the idea of a virtual director, a curated audio video stream that lets participants follow the flow of conversation in that room very easily. A layer above from that now, working with Microsoft and Zoom with the smart gallery views, the front row experience, is the idea that as people speak, we can give them prominent real estate in that video stream. So first you get that full panoramic view of everybody, adjusted just the right size. But then let's say the last 4 speakers are presented in larger, equitable presentation of pixel real estate. So you can say, all right, here's the whole group. These folks were talking. Here's how their body language and their communication is coming across. That requires a completely new architecture compared to the traditional cameras, most of which don't have a lot of AI built in, and most of which don't have a multi-camera array to include everybody in this good human fidelity way.
That's great. So in meeting spaces, you've got the Panacas 50, is that right? And that's got AI built in, is that correct?
Exactly. It's got 2 very high-end processors, one for audio AI, one for video AI, then our own Panacas Vision processors at 9 processors in total. But with all of that hardware, we can offload all the heavy lifting right to the device, right? You can plug it into any device. It'll work with any service. It'll do a lot of that local processing and provide the right curated audio video stream, that equitable experience and inclusive experience. And we work with folks like Microsoft and Zoom so they can ingest that and show it just like, you would like it to appear on that screen in front of you. That's more for the meeting room type experience, right? And we'll hopefully talk a bit about the personal experience and the go anywhere experience.
Yeah, I think that's a nice segue into that question. I was going to ask you more around kind of what have you got for the personal user, the work from home user, or even the person that's your kind of the hybrid work user, if that's a persona nowadays where you could be anywhere. So what's available on that front?
When you're at home, Panacas 20 is just a great choice, and I'll give you a couple of value propositions with it. One is we kept that very high-end AI processor, the video processor. We kept it in Panacas 20, so it represents a new generation of personal devices that are completely different than traditional devices, which really didn't have much AI built in. One practical use is, imagine, like you saw with our colleague the other day, Carl. He had a bright window behind him. And, with a traditional camera doing average exposure, the view outside the window would look great, but Carl would look silhouetted. That's a very normal problem we deal with. In that case, you saw he looked great. And that's because the Panacas 20 he's using detected where he is. And then we could tell the device to optimize exposure for that person. So one practical thing is we'll help you look the best you can, regardless of what's happening around you with lighting. The second is as you move around, it will track you and follow you, right? So, the idea of personalized intelligent zoom, different than traditional intelligent zoom, which is to include everybody. Personalized intelligent zoom is to make you the main person front and center, whether you're moving, kind of always be properly centered. The third innovation, which we got from a lot of folks actually in business and in education, was the idea of picture in picture. So imagine that, I've got something I want to show you. You can create an enlarged window, and then we become the inset in that window, and that window becomes the main video feed. So although we put out one video feed, it actually has two feeds combined in real time. A bit like, when you see a sports event and there's a commentator and they're showing the action. So it allows you to share stuff very easily. And I remember when you took the other time, how you're trying to show stuff. It's just easier when you can have that enlarged window. And because it's all built into one feed, it's compatible with all the existing services. So these are the kinds of ways we're trying to make it easier for you at home to have a great video experience. First, to let you always look your best. Second, to have it track you so that as you're moving around, you don't have to be distracted with controls. And the third is to provide this picture-in-picture mode. And
I love that, the fact that, you are providing a very inclusive and equitable experience, from the meeting room to the home to anywhere. And I think that's fantastic. So hats off to you. And, I suppose just finally, in terms of, advice for any organization out there looking to kind of optimize their hybrid working strategy with, collaboration technology, what advice would you give?
I think one thing, if they think about the whole need holistically, right, that when they're going to implement new technologies, they're going to use them in this return to the office environment, the go anywhere environment where Jabra, Panacas, and Speak are your perfect companions, or at home potentially with a Panacas 20, and I typically use a headphones with it, right, or a Speak. So that combination of products coming from a supplier who has architected them to work well together and to be supportable on a global mass deployment scale. And often with the level of intelligence built in so that as we continue innovating, these products continue refreshing and adding new features, right? A late example this year is the whole growth of the intelligent gallery view, right? It's coming along, people like it, and we have the headroom built into our device to integrate that into it. We are pioneering a lot of AI in our devices and continually looking at ways to improve the collaboration experience so that, things that you did manually or things that you relied on manual intervention are all now done automatically so that we stay focused in our conversation.
Yeah, it's really great. And for anyone out there looking to find out more about the Panacas range of products and collaboration division at Jabra, what's the best way to get in touch?
A good first place would be to visit our website /Panacas. So Jabra /Panacas. Look at the website and then go from there. We'd love to engage and hear from the folks listening in and reviewing this presentation.
Indeed. And I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. However, if you are interested in finding out more about Jabra, as Aurangzeb mentioned, do jump on the website and there's some links in the description. Aurangzeb, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been really great hearing more about the Panacas range.
Thanks very much, Rob. Great as always to connect with you.
And that's it from us. So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed today's session and you've got some good takeaways, please do give us a quick mention on social and subscribe to our channel for more industry news and insights. I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.